Hi, good morning. We are reading Mystery of History, Volume 4. We're on page 58. We're on step number 15 in the American Revolution of 20 steps that Mrs. Hobar has laid out for us. Let's review from the beginning. Number 1. Do you remember what it was?
Boston Massacre.
Good. Number 2 was the Boston
Tea Party.
Good. Number 3, Cruz, was the first
Continental Congress.
Good. Number 4 was Patrick
Revere's Ride.
Close. Patrick Henry's fiery speech. Then number 5, Paul Revere's ride. Patrick, then Paul. Number 6, the battles of Lexington and Concord. Number 7, Caleb the second Continental Congress. The second fiery speech. Number 8, Cruz, the colonial defeat at the Battle
of Bunker Hill.
Number 9, Caleb, Thomas Paine's Common Sense. Number 10, the Declaration of
Independence.
Good, got one.
I know that one by heart.
Number 11, Washington crosses the Delaware. Do you remember what number 12 was? With Betsy Ross.
And the American flag.
Yep, the flag unfolding. Number 13, victory at Saratoga. 14, the winter at Valley Forge. Now we're at 15, the Treaty of Alliance with France. As you remember, Benjamin Franklin had gone to France early in the war in the hope of recruiting the help of the French. Let's hear 3 cheers for Franklin because his pleading worked, so he was pleading with them. In February of 1778, the French signed an agreement with the Continental Congress called the Treaty of Alliance. The French had at first been hesitant to join the colonists, but the victory at Saratoga won them over. After Saratoga, the French simply couldn't resist the temptation to fight one more time against Great Britain, because they had lost during the what?
During the French and Indian War.
Yes. Great Britain was their longtime rival, and they had lost during the French and Indian War. What the Americans had to gain with France in the picture was the French Navy. Americans had tried to build their own navy, but it was a slow process, and their ships simply couldn't match those of the British, which were on the move. British troops remained in New York, but by sea, thousands of British sailed to Georgia. They invaded Savannah, which meant that the Revolutionary War had spread to the South. We'll come back to see what happened there. I have an interesting side story to tell you first. All right, number 16, the betrayal of Benedict Arnold. Have you ever heard the expression, don't be a Benedict Arnold? Not really.
Oh, I read a book about who was Benedict Arnold.
Okay.
I know the story.
Good.
Who was he?
We'll find out in just a second after I keep reading. Well, it comes from the American Revolution. It seems that Benedict Arnold, who I've mentioned a few times, was a glory seeker. When he felt he was not given enough credit for his American victories in the North, he started to unravel emotionally. It's a little funny. I want my glory. Okay, so by 1780, he began talking with the British about giving away American secrets.
Oh boy.
In particular, after Arnold was named commander of the fort at West Point in New York, he sneaked military plans to a British commander named Major John Andre. Major Andre was with the secret plans tucked inside his stockings, was traveling in civilian clothes. That means just everyday clothes, just like the people you see walking around the street.
Today he would be like walking in jeans and a shirt.
He was traveling near Tarrytown, New York, when colonial scouts attacked him. They insisted he strip to find out if he was carrying any money. What they found were the secrets of a traitor, the plans of Benedict Arnold to give West Point away to the British. West Point at the time was a fort on the Hudson River and not the military academy that it is today. Andre was hauled into the colonial camp and then hanged for his crime. What type of crime was it? He was a British commander. Why was that a crime?
Wait, British people pulled him over?
No, the colonialists did. But, I mean, it's not a crime to be on the British side, is it? That's confusing to me.
His crime was, what was...
Taking the secret plans? Well,
Yeah.
that's what he's supposed to do. He's the British. I don't know why that means we have to hang him.
Well, I wouldn't want to, if he was been able to have let go, then those guys would have probably been hanged for not trying to stop him at all.
Well, not let go. You don't let your prisoners go, but you also don't kill all the prisoners that you take in war.
Good point. They could have interrogated him and gotten out some interesting information.
Interesting. Okay. Benedict Arnold escaped to the British side and moved to England, where he lived for 20 years. He is one of America's most notorious traitors. When his sons grew up, they changed their last names to avoid being associated with their father. That's how unpopular he was. They're like, no, we're not an Arnold. No. Number 17, the Articles of Confederation. Oh, here's a picture of Benedict Arnold. Cruz, did you have anything else to tell us about Benedict Arnold?
No, though I do. Oh, well, I do remember that he was very poor most of his life because he would gamble, and pretty much over 2/3 of the time he lost.
Yes.
Since he was a
Is
poor
that
guy,
him
so he had to.
emotionally unraveling?
Is that him emotionally unraveling? No. That's just him posing for a picture like this.
Though he was poor, he would gamble for money.
Got it.
Well, I
Okay.
don't know if that's. Yeah.
Meanwhile, behind the scenes and behind battle lines, delegates were still at work at the Second Continental Congress. When Philadelphia was invaded by the British at first, the delegates fled. They went to York in Pennsylvania. In York, they were writing vital documents. These were called the Articles of Confederation, the first draft of a constitution for the United States. The articles, she says, quote unquote, legally united the colonies into one union. The form of government for the time being, so this isn't going to be, they're just trying to get something like going because they're under pressure, under war, and they need something that will unite them for the time being. Okay. This was, at first, the form of government was called a confederation. It was drafted in 1777.
Sort of like the Confederates.
Yes. It was drafted in 1777, but it wasn't accepted by all the 13 states until 1781. That left the colonies through most of the war without a united government. Each state had its own governing body. And so, like the ancient Greek city-states, they fought and argued, much like our states do today. The Articles of Confederation were a true milestone in American history. They represent the first stab at creating a balance of power between the colonies, now called the states, and the government as a whole. After a lot of bickering, that means a lot of arguing, states at this point were given more power than the Confederation as a whole. The Confederation had limited authority. It could make war, it could negotiate treaties, oversee Western territories, but the Confederation could not borrow money, loan money, or make currency. The minting of coins was left to each state. Why would that be a problem?
Because then you couldn't use your money if you tried to another state.
Yeah. Your money's no good here. But these issues may not seem significant, but they will be later. The flaws of the Articles of Confederation would lead the Founding Fathers to be more ingenious when writing the Constitution that would replace them. Okay, we're going to stop there because the next step is 18, which is Cornwallis surrenders at Yorktown. That's kind of a long portion. So, this is a long period of time to be at war. It's all the way, what's that, 7 years? Let me see here. I guess she even takes it back to the Stamp Act in 1765 when things start rumbling. When did they officially declare war? Or maybe they didn't. Maybe it just kind of, I don't even...
Happened. I think someone did declare war.
But this is a long time, 1765, from way back in Boston. I mean, with the Stamp Act. And then them making speeches for independence, or saying we need to fight. But that was 10 years after the Stamp Act. That's a long time after the Stamp Act. 'Cause, I mean, we read about it and we're like, oh, a mere 10 years later. But that's like your whole entire life, you know?
I'll be like, if I was born in that act,
Ooh.
then just now I would be like...
Now they're talking about seeking independence, writing the Declaration of Independence. And then after that, 7 more years after that, not until you're 17 do they even finish the war.
So if you're born, then you would be there during the Stamp Act. You would be 17 when the war happened, and probably be drafted into the army, unfortunately.
Okay, let's stop there. We're stopping on page 59, and we'll pick up probably not tomorrow. Bye! Or maybe tomorrow. Who knows?
Bye.